Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to my channel, Ayu.ranifa. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about kinds of recount text and its samples. Okay, kali ini kita akan bahas tentang macam-macam dari recount text dan contoh-contohnya. Okay, there are any 5 kinds of recount text. The first is Personal Recount, Factual Recount, Imaginative Recount, Historical Recount, and Biographical Recount. Okay, the first is Personal Recount. Personal Recount is usually retell an event that the writer was personally involved in. For example, experience. Jadi bisa dikatakan bahwa personal recount itu menceritakan kembali tentang suatu kejadian di mana sang penulis tersebut terlibat di dalamnya. Nah, contohnya adalah pengalaman. Okay, this is sample of personal recount. The title is My Activities on Wednesday. Last Wednesday was a tiring day. I spent my time to do a lot of activities that I had no time to take a rest. First, in the morning, I went cycling. After that, I went to school to study until 3 p.m. After school, I went to sport hall to play badminton until 8 p.m. I played too seriously that I felt really tired. After that, I went home. But when I wanted to sleep, I remembered there was some homeworks I had to do. I did my homeworks until 11 p.m. And finally, I could take a rest in my bed. Those activities made me exhausted. Okay, next is Factual Recount. Factual Recount is recording an incident. Jadi yang namanya Factual Recount yaitu bisa dikatakan merekam tentang suatu kejadian-kejadian yang berdasarkan fakta tentunya ya. For example, news, police report, scientific experiment, etc. Okay, this is sample of Factual Recount. This is news, and then the title is Children's Day. On Children's Day in 1999, a technology company treats more than 200 underprivileged children to a high-tech experience. They were given training on information technology. The company wanted to provide opportunities for these children to learn more about the internet and the latest technology. They wanted to help the less fortunate in the community. The children had an enjoyable and educational experience that day. They were exposed to the new technology for the first time and they were very interested. The company hoped to conduct many more such training sessions for these children. They felt that the skills the children had would be useful to them when they grew up. The company was very active in caring for the less fortunate. They even put aside one day a year for their employees to do volunteer work to help the needy. They also donate money to many charitable organizations. Many people had benefits from their effort. Many also praised the company for being so generous towards the needy. Next, Imaginative Recount. Imaginative Recount is retell of an imaginary event through the eyes of a fiction character. Jadi intinya bahwa Imaginative Recount menceritakan kembali tentang suatu kejadian yang imajinasi atau menggambarkan, menjelaskan tentang kejadian pada suatu karakter yang fiksi. For example, like dream, fiction story, etc. Okay, this is sample of Imaginative Recount about dream. My dream. I dreamed of being a superhero when I was a teenager. I imagined myself as Spider-Man. One day, when I was fishing at the river, I was bitten by a spider, and luckily, I was not dying. At first, I felt cold for 24 hours, and I was alone in my room. Nobody knew about it. I didn't tell my family. because I was afraid they would be angry with me. After that, something had happened in my body, and I still didn't recognize it. I lived as I did usually, went to school, went home, ate, did some activities, and so on. I realized at the first time that I had a superpower was when I was in an accident. I rode a motorcycle and suddenly a bus crashed into me. I bounced out of the road and my motorcycle was totally broken. But in that case, I did not feel any pain. There was no blood out of my body. I was angry at that time because the bus did not stop and escape. I ran after it and I didn't know why I could run so fast and jump so high. I jumped to the back of the bus and climbed it like a spider. I went to the front, stopped the bus, and took the driver out of the bus door. I knew that I was no longer a normal human being. I did nothing but to the bus driver. I went back home and decided what to do after that. I did nothing like Spider-Man in the movie that helped people to catch the criminals. I was an opportunist superhero. I was afraid of killing people, so that I hid my power from anybody else. I used my power only when I or my family and friends got into danger. Okay, next historical recount. Historical recount is a text that's used to explain and retell factual events in the past that has historical value. Jadi yang namanya historical recount yaitu teks yang menjelaskan atau menceritakan kembali tentang kejadian-kejadian yang berdasarkan fakta tentunya di masa lampau yang pastinya memiliki nilai-nilai sejarah. For example, a war or battle, the reign of a ruler, a revolution, the development of an invention, etc. Okay, this is sample of historical recount. The title is Reformation Era. For more than 30 years, Indonesia was governed by Suharto as the president after the era of President Sukarno. As the people started to feel injustice, several cracks emerged that shocked the political condition. Political tension in the capital city increased by the numerous riots that occurred in several cities and violent ethnic clashes. The government became unstable and struggled as the monetary crisis hit Asia in the second half of 1997. Indonesia suffered the most. Price rose massively and many businesses went bankrupt. As the economy fell down, people got angry and protests occurred everywhere. The protests became bigger and riots started in many parts of Indonesia. During the monetary crisis, Suharto could maintain his position as president when he was re-elected in March 1998. However, Suharto did not do anything that could help the economy, as the government seemed helpless in bringing the economy back. People demanded President Suharto to step down. Democratization were held everywhere, and it became the peak with the Trisakti incidents on 12 May 1998. Four students were shot to death when demonstrating at Trisakti University at Jakarta, and 9 students were killed at Semanggi. The incident led to huge riots in Jakarta and various cities all over Indonesia. Finally, Suharto was pushed to step down and the Reformation era began in Indonesia. Okay, next is Biographical Recount. Biographical Recount is a text written about someone else's life. Jadi yang namanya biografi recount itu tentang teks tulisan tentang kehidupan seseorang. Contoh. This is sample of biographical recount. Biography of Sukarno, Indonesian first president. Sukarno was the first president of Indonesia. He was born in 6 June 1901 and died in 21st June 1970. He led his country to fight against Netherlands and the man who proclaims independence. Sukarno was a prominent leader of nationalist movement during the colonial period. He spent more than a decade under the detention before release by the Japanese force. Insinyur Sukarno and all his nationalist fellow collaborated to collect support in spreading nationalist ideas. When Japan surrendered, Indonesian independence was declared by Sukarno and Muhammad Hatta on 17 August 1945. At the same time, Sukarno was appointed as the president and Muhammad Hatta as vice president. After became president, Sukarno had to fight once again against resisting Dutch recolonization effort. After parliamentary democracy chaos in 1957, Sukarno put an autocratic system called guided democracy. It successfully ended the rebellion and instability which were threatening the country. In the early 1960s, Sukarno brought the country to the Soviet by giving protection and support to the Indonesian Communist Party. Unfortunately, the 30th September movement in 1965 ended the communist era and Sukarno's position as president was replaced by Suharto, the man who became president for 32 years. After Suharto in charge, Sukarno was exiled to Bogor and spent the rest of his life there. Okay, everyone, that's all the sample of kinds of recount text. Okay, I hope it can be useful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share to all of your social media. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.